before starting the PHP session, this is the question. Question is, I have the following list consists of several dictionaries with one key value pair. Now the list of dictionaries given by him is the bit a complicated one, because I will get a very practical dictionary, collection of dictionaries. Let's try in this way. Right, now I create the list. This is a very familiar one, no? It's a normal list. So list of dictionaries. Right? We have one key value is name, the other key is name, value is school. Right? Right. Each item in the list teachers is a dictionary which contains the name and the school of a teacher. Now this is a list consists of individual characters of the string x4, x in Python. We can do the same technique to get the list of dictionary values in the given list teachers. Right? What we can do is we can do the same thing in this way. I am writing it in the Python code in the IDL shell as a list. First item is x and the school as a dictionary item. For x in teachers. Right? Now get the variable x is in teachers. In other words, x equal say Chandani Ladies College. Then the second item, Indunil Wesley College. Third one, Ishanka Good Shepherd Convent. Right? X is going from the first item. First means actually zeroth item. First to last item. Right? And this get the individual values of each dictionary to the list. You got that one, no? That's the answer. Single statement, right? It's a single line statement to get the values of the dictionaries in the list defined in previously teachers. Right? We define the dictionary teachers as key is name, value is school. Likewise, there are several parts. I think all of you can understand that one. This is a very simple one. Not only single value, we can get couple of values. For one example, right now this is a different one. That's the list is COVID. Consists of several dictionary items. Dictionary list items are dictionaries. First one, first key is country. There are two values. Key is country. First value is cases. Other value is deaths. Right? I got these data not today, yesterday, right? This yesterday data. Okay, now we have 4 items in particular list, right? Again, we got defined 3 variables: CC, COVID country; CP, COVID patients; okay, CD, COVID deaths, and we got the 3 list here. After that, I'm going to put a heading and print, going through for loop and print the various conditions. Okay. Let's try this one. Yeah, once I run that one, we get the dictionary items into like a table. Unfortunately, this is not the properly formatted, no? We have to put correct spaces in between data items, right? How do we get that one? Instead of this print one, I am putting a different way. That's a string formatting one. F format command, right? First one with the left align with the 15, center align, sorry, right align. Next one is again right align. Let's try this one. See the output. Get the some kind of proper output now, no? Okay. One more thing we have to do is you have to change the heading also, no? We can do that one. Instead of this normal print command, we use Python F formatting, F string formatting method, right? This is a very handy tool. We can get the output into the format we need, right? This F formatting one is started from the Python, I think 3.6. From 3.6, if we are using a 3.6 or latest one, you can use that one. Let's try this one. Yeah, now you can get that one. It's properly formatted, that one, right? Okay, that's a question asked by one of your teacher in, I think last week, sent me an email regarding the Python things. Okay, now we start the PHP things.
So once you install SAM, it comes bundled with this MySQL database and a web server and several other services also going to install to your machine once you install SAM or maybe WAM. There you, if you go to this part, see SAM htdocs, and inside htdocs, what we did was we created our folder, and that folder name should also be the best practice is to provide a name with lowercase letters and without any spaces. It is important that you provide a name without any spaces. If you need to separate two words in your folder name, then better to use a dash like this. So we created a folder, and every PHP script that we write, we save that PHP file in that folder. So once you write your PHP script, how did you call that? You just go to your web browser, Chrome or Firefox or any other web browser that you're familiar with. You go to your browser, and in the URL, what you did is you provide this part, localhost / then your folder name. Just note that we provide this these two names. It should be the same name. The folder that we are creating inside htdocs folder and the one we are going to give in our URL. These two should be equal because that is where our PHP script is saved. So we need to correctly provide the folder name here as the URL. So localhost / your folder name / then your PHP file name along with the extension, that is .php. So I hope this diagram will explain you a lot of things. That is how we run a PHP script. So let me show you how we can run a PHP script. But I thought of today, I will explain you how you can use this Sublime text. because I know many of you have installed that. So let me explain you how you can use Sublime Text. So I'm just searching my application here. So this is Sublime Text. Let's open that. This is of course a free software, so you can easily download and install this to your machine. Here now, once you open this application, Sublime Text, go to File and then click Open Folder. Simply, you can open any folder in this text editor. Right, I'm going to open my folder. Let's go to this part. It's C. As I was explaining, I have several versions of SAMP installed to my machine. So here my latest version is SAMP 3. So I'm going to that folder. In your case, it is SAMP. So I'm going to say SAMP, then htdocs, and then there we created a folder named PHP code. This is the place where we were saving all our PHP scripts. So I'm selecting this folder. Just click on select folder, then it will quickly set up your project like this. So unlike Notepad++, here the advantage is in Sublime Text, you can have your folder structure on the left hand side. You can see you can easily, if you click on this file, so you can easily go through all the files you have in that folder. These were the examples that we were discussing last week. In order to refresh your mind, I will give you a let's discuss this. I will give you a small question. Okay. So can you guess the output of this code? Okay, let me explain. First of all, this is how we define a variable in PHP. Dollar, then you provide your variable name, whatever the variable name you have. Dollar $a equals 7. So here what happens? Now the number 7, this value gets assigned to $a. So $a becomes 7. Then in the next line, we are again defining another variable called $b that is also, this value get assigned to $b. Now $b becomes number 5. And then here, what we have done is, we can simply expand this plus $a. Okay, plus $a. This actually means $a equal $a plus 1. Okay, so here $a was initially $a was 7. Now in this line, $a becomes 8. Okay, 8, and then this operator. So you're familiar with this operator. This is mod operator. That means if you divide $a by $b, and the remainder is the modulus of that. So $b is already 5. So 8 mod 5, that means 3, right? So $c becomes 3, and then here this actually means $c equals $c into 5. If I expand this, star equal means $c get multiplied by number 5, and then assign that value to $c. So here we are going to multiply c by 5. Previously, the value of c is 3, and now 3 into 5 is 15. So it will print 15 as the result. So let us run this code and see whether it is correct. So this is our file. It is already in PHP, the htdocs. Under that, we created a folder called PHP code, and then I have named the file as Q9. The first thing that we need to do is, if you can remember, we installed a server in our machine. Now here we installed SAMP. So you have this control panel, SAMP control panel. You can run the SAMP control panel by searching SAMP, and then you get here you get your control panel, and then once you click that, you will going to get a control panel like this. This is your SAMP control, and here you need to start Apache and MySQL server. These two services you need to start from here, from the control panel. And then once you start that services, you can simply go to your browser and type the URL as localhost / then your folder name, that is, in our case it's PHP code / then your file name. The file that we want to run is Q9. Okay, I have named it as Q9. Q9. Then definitely you need to provide the extension. So when you hit enter, it will show you the results of this code. So this is simply how we are going to write a PHP script and how you're going to run that. So on your browser, you can run any PHP script. Can any one of you guess the output of this code? As you can see, we have embed PHP code inside HTML code. So definitely you need to have this starting and ending PHP text. That's okay, that's fine. And in the first line, it will assign $A as 10. So $A becomes 10, and in the second line, we define another variable as $B, and then there what we are going to do, we deduct 5 from $A. Technically this $B, here $B should be 5, right? Now in this line, what has happened? We divide $A by $B. Now if you can remember, when we define a variable in PHP, there were several set of rules that we need to follow. And if you can remember correctly, there was a rule saying that every PHP variable that we are defining, it is case sensitive. So here we have mentioned this as $B, but is it equal to this variable? No, right? Why? Because in PHP, these two variables are treated as two different variables. Even though it's $B, this is uppercase and this one is lowercase. These two are two different variables in PHP. So there is not going to be any output from this code. Okay, there will going to be an error in this line, in the fourth line. Why? Because there is no such variable as $B. We haven't defined that variable. We have only defined two variables named $A and $B, not $B. So This script will provide you with an error. Let's run this and see what kind of output that it will provide. q10.php. Now see, it will show you an error. Okay, there is an error saying undefined variable b. So let's say I want to find whether a given number is a odd number or an even number. So I'm going to create a new file. Say file new. We are going to check a certain number is odd number and even number. You can simply do this. Let's say we need a variable, some kind of variable to store the number. So I'm going to say $num equal, let's say 35. Okay, and so how are we going to check whether a certain number is odd or an even number? If that number divide by 2, then we can simply say that that number is an even number. We can give this kind of a condition. Okay, we can use if else statement, because if a certain condition is true, we can say that number is or even number, otherwise it will going to be an odd number. So we need this control structure if else, then the condition $num, then not 2. If we divide this number by 2 and there will not going to be any remainder, then it is, so double equal is the comparison operator. We compare whether this value equals to 0. Okay, then have curly brackets. Then we say, okay, if you want to print something in PHP, the function we use is echo function, right? ECHO, echo $num is an even number. Else, what we can say is echo $num is an odd number. So this is it. If the number is divided by 2 and there is not going to be any remainder there, then it is an even number. Else we can say it's an odd number. So I'm going to save this script. The part that you're going to save is C, XAMPP, htdocs, and under that the folder that you have created. In my case, it's PHP code, and here I will provide this file name as odd.php. Save as type should be all files. Okay. Then let's save this. You can go to your browser, provide the file name here, odd.php. 35 is odd number. Right? So this is the simple script that you're going to need. Right? If I change this to, let's say, we will give an odd even number, 20. Okay, if I run this, just refresh your browser and then it says 20 is an even number. So this is how you are going to check that with if-else code block. So today we are going to learn about if-else if code block. Now in here if you need to provide multiple conditions, okay, if you need to provide set of statement based on several set of conditions, then you can use this control statement. Okay, this is the syntax of PHP. If then you can provide the condition within brackets, okay, then have curly brackets, then the statement in if code block, then else if, without any spaces you need to provide else if, and then again within brackets you need to provide the condition, and then you can have number of else if statements in between, and then finally you need to compulsorily have this else part, that is the default part uh, that will going to execute if all the other conditions are false. Else, then the body of that else statement. This is the flowchart that you are going to get. Start, then you first check the condition of if statement. If that is true, then it will execute the body of if statement, and then it will skip all the conditions, all the other conditions that is given in else if statements, and skip that part. And if that condition false, it will go to the next condition of else if statement here. Okay? It will check here the condition 2, and if that condition gets true, it will execute the body of else if statement, this part, right? And then once it gets executed, it will skip any other conditions or statements inside this control structure and execute whatever the outside of that code block. Okay? If that condition also gets false, then it will straight away go to the body of else statement. This is the default statement. So then it will execute the statement inside the body of else statement. This is how your if else if else code block works. Let's see an example. I will take a new file. Now the scenario is if we provide some marks to certain subject and I want to display a grade based on that mark. If that marks are greater than 75, then I'm going to print A, grade A. If that marks are going to be greater than 65, then I'm going to print grade B. Likewise, so you can understand that there are several set of conditions that we need to check because there are ranges in our marks. So we need to check each range, whether which range the mark is going to belongs to, so that we will going to print the grade based on that condition. So I'm going to save this as grade.php, right? So first of all, I will provide you the description, what kind of range that we are going to check. Okay, these are the multiple line comment in PHP. If marks greater than 75, I'm going to print A. Else, if marks greater than 65, then I'm going to print B. If marks greater than 55, then C. If marks, let's say greater than 40, yes. And finally, marks less than 40, then I'm going to print W. So there are, you can see there are several conditions that we need to check. So in this type of scenario, we definitely going to need if else if code block control structure. Okay, so let's start writing our code. I will going to have a variable to hold the marks. So I'm going to say $marks. Let's say the student has got 63. So I'm going to say $marks is 63. And now let's start writing our code block, if else statement. First I'm going to say if $marks greater than 75, then I'm going to print A, right? Echo A. Else if our condition is, so we cover the upper range of 75 or above. That range we cover. Now what we are going to cover is the second range, that is 75 to 65. Let's say $marks greater than, let's say equal, also greater than or equal 65. Then we are going to print B. So we cover the second range here, 75 to 65. Here also I'm going to say greater than 75 or equal. Right? Then again we have two more ranges to cover, right? And then the default one is less than 40. So we need two more else if statements, right? Else if condition is $marks greater than or equal 55. Echo C. Else if $marks greater than or equal 40. We are going to say echo S. Then finally, our lower range of the marks, that is else part. Else. This is the default value that we can get. We say we are going to print W for all the marks that are going to be less than 40. Go to your browser and our file name is grade.php. So this student is going to get a C grade because the marks is 63. So 63 is between 55 and 65. That is C here, this range. And if I change this to, let's say, 39, then W. So likewise, you can check, let's say, 53. Then it should be, if it's 53, it should be S, right? The grade is S. So you can simply use if else code block to check several conditions. Under repetitions, we are going to discuss while, do while, and for loop. So first of all, let's understand about how to write while loop in PHP. So if you take while loop, this is the syntax you can use. You write while and then you need to provide the condition, right? So now this statement, it will loop through a block of code if as long as the specified condition is true. So the condition that we are going to provide here, until that condition is true, the loop will going to continue, right? Once that condition gets false, the loop will terminate executing, right? So this is the syntax, while then within brackets your condition, and then within curly brackets you can provide any number of statements inside this while loop to be executed. So this is the flowchart. Start, and then you first check the condition. If that condition is true, it will execute the body of the while loop, and then again check the condition until that condition gets false. If that condition gets false, it will skip or terminate that while loop and go outside of the loop. Yes, there is a question asking if we want to assign specify marks without assigning something to the variable. That now what I have explained here, I was always using some kind of a variable, and I'm always assigning that variable this mark. If we I think you are asking because in Python also we have this user entered input, right? We use this input function in Python, right? So you are asking whether we can't use that kind of concept here. Now in PHP, there is no such thing as input function. So if you want to actually input something, then we need to use some kind of a form, HTML forms, right? I'm going to discuss that part in the next sessions. So we will discuss that as well. So I was explaining to you about while loop, the control structure. And this is the flowchart that you're going to get. So until this condition gets true, it will execute whatever they are inside while loop. And once it's false, it will terminate the loop. Yeah. First of all, you need to, here also you need to have some kind of a starting value. So I'm going to say, let's say $X. I'm going to provide some kind of value. Let's say 0, right? Let's save this also. I'm going to save this as while dot php. While, then within brackets, you can have your condition. Then within curly brackets, you provide whatever the things that you need to execute when you are executing this while loop. So I'm going to print $X, and then in order to continue this loop, I'm going to increment this $X by 1 in each iteration. So I'm going to say $X equal $X plus 1. And let's say if I want to have the values print one after the other, I need to have a break tag. So what happens is $X becomes 0 initially, and then we are going to check whether it is less than 5. Yes, it's less than 5. 0 is less than 5. Then we will first print that value 0, and then we increment the value by 1. Then x becomes 1. Then again, it will check this condition. 1 is less than 5 years. It will print 1 and then increment by 1. Then x becomes 2. And then again, it will check this condition. 2 is less than 5 years. So likewise, the loop will continue executing until this condition gets false. That is, when x becomes 5, 5 is not less than 5, right? 5 is equal to 5. So that is the termination point of this loop. After that, this loop will going to terminate. So I'm going to first save this and we will try to run this first. While.php. So from 0 to 4, it will going to print. After number 4, it will increment x by 1, then it will become number 5, x becomes 5, and then once it is going to the condition part, that condition becomes false. Then it will terminate this loop and go outside of this loop. So this is a simple while statement. Starting from 0, it will print up to number 4. Now let's say if I want to print from number 20 to 1 in descending order. Actually, this is ascending order, right? From 0 to 1, 0 to 4. And now I want to print these values from descending order. That is from 20 to 1. How am I going to write that? So here, how you can do that? You can do this in several ways. I'm going to do it like this. First, I'm going to say $x as 20. Let's say $x. We take $x as 20, and then condition we will think about it later. Some kind of a condition. Then we are going to print $x. So if that condition is true, it will print 20 in the initial iteration. And then I'm going to here what I'm going to do is it an increment or a decrement? Now I'm going to print this in descending order, that is from 20 to 1. So here we have to decrement the value by 1. So there is going to be a decrement, right? So this is it. Now what is going to be the condition? The termination condition. Some kind of a termination condition. Otherwise, this loop will going to be an infinite loop. That is, this loop will continue to print, execute, because this condition will going to be never get false. So you need to provide the correct condition. Right? So here I can say $x. So we are going to decrement this value, right? 20, then 19, then 18. So likewise up to 1. So we can say until $x is greater than, let's say, 0. Because we are decrementing this value. 20, 19, then 18, then after some time you will going to get 5, 4, 3, 2, and then $x becomes 1. 1 is greater than 0, it will again going to execute this, and then it will come to this line where it will decrement 1 by 1, then x becomes 0, and again when it start to check the condition, so 0 is not greater than 0, 0 is equal to 0, right? So this loop will terminate. Okay, let's check. Yes. Now what happened? 20, 19, 18, up to 1. Up to number 1, it will going to print. So this is the simple code for that. So another advantage of loop is repetition statement is you can now I was explaining to you about PHP arrays. If you can remember this, we discussed last week. This is how we are going to define an array in PHP. And if somebody asks us to print all the values in this array, then we need to call each value like this. And we did an example like that as well. Yes, this one. If I want to, this is a list of colors that I have defined inside this array. So if I want to print all these values, then I have to print it like this. 0, 1, 2. If there are 20 or 30 values, then I have to go on printing this until all the values are going to print. So the easiest way is not to use this method, but to use some kind of a repetition statement. We can easily use a repetition statement to print values inside an array. I'm going to paste that part. Okay, and let's first save this. Display students dot need 5 elements in our array. So what I can simply do is just have a while loop. While then your condition. I'm explaining this condition afterwards. Okay, first we will try to write this while. This is the body of while statement. So this is the exact statement that we need, right, to access a single element inside an array. That is, $student is the array variable name, and then within square brackets we need to mention the index of that value. So in this case, if you want to print from 0 to there are 5 elements, 0 to 4th index of this array, then 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are index wise, the last index is 4. So from 0 to 4, if you are going to print that, then in each an iteration, this number should be changed from 0 to 4th element. Of course, we are going to need another variable to hold the index of this array, right? So I'm going to say $index. This is the value that we are going to increment in each iteration. Okay, this index should be the initial value is 0 because we have a 0th index also. 0, and from 4th element until 4th element we need to iterate. So $index is 0. And if we have these two values, what we can do is we can write a statement just like this. We need the variable name $students. This is our variable array variable name. And then within brackets, within square brackets, we need to mention the index. Now what is the index? We have index in the $index variable. So just have that. So this is it. Echo your variable name, then your index value. So this index is the one that needs to increment by 1 in each iteration. So we also need to have a break statement because we need to print the values one after the other. So we need a break statement. Then the important thing is we need to increment this index. So we can say $index. We can say simply plus plus. This is same as $index equal $index plus 1. What it does is it will start this while loop, and if the condition is true, it will going to print $students. Then the initial value of index is 0, then $students within square brackets 0, and then it will increment the value of index by 1. Then it will be 1. Then it will again check the condition. If the condition is true, then $student within square bracket is going to be 1. So in each iteration, what it does is it will increment this index value by 1 and going to print the value inside this array until the 5th element. Okay. So now what will going to be our condition? Now that you need to think about it. Okay, before going to explain the condition, let me explain you this also, and that is there is a method that you can take the length of an array in PHP. Okay, you can simply take the length of an array. Another thing that I wanted to refer this, the PHP manual. This is the best place that you can find any function in PHP manual. Let's say, so we will search array. So this is PHP array, and there are number of array functions. These are the functions that are relevant to the arrays in PHP. So there are so many of them. Even if you want to, let's say you want to sort your array, there are so many ways you can sort an array. There are kr sort, k sort. Likewise, you can have number of sorting functions in the array. So likewise, you have this function called count. Okay, this count function, what it does is it will count all the elements in an array. So that means if you take this array, there are 5 elements inside this array, right? So there are 5 elements. Let's say echo, I'm going to say count $students. This is the simple way you can write that, right? Echo count $students. So I'm going to save this. Okay, I have saved this. Let's first, I don't need this part. I'm going to comment that. Yeah, I'm saving this file, and then let's see what this will going to output, right? I'm going to the browser, and then I'm going to say our file name is array.php, and if I'm going to fetch this, it will output as number 5. That means the number of elements in our array is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 elements inside the students array. So this we are going to need in this exam to create the condition of this value, the termination point. So the termination point would be the point where it will count, or it will access all these elements from 0 to then 1, 2, 3, and when it comes to fourth element, the array, the loop should terminate, right? Because we don't have any number of values left inside our array anymore, so we need to terminate the loop. So the termination point, you can, based on this example, we can create our own termination point in here. We can simply say, okay, $index is the number that we are going to increment. So let's say this $index should be less than count $students. So hope you understood that. This will count our student array. There are 5 elements, so they are going to be the value 5 will be here. Okay. So once the index comes, it is going to increment, and then at a certain point, $index becomes number 4, because this is the fifth element and the index is 4. So 4 is, yes, it's less than 5. This is 5. Then it will again execute this part, and then index becomes 5. Then this condition gets false and the loop will terminate. So I'm going to quickly save this, and we are going to run this. So this is the results that you're going to get. So it will loop through all the elements in our array. So this will going to be a common code block that you can use for any array that you provide. Let's say you change this array. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to change the array to this. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it here, and you need to change the line here also, because now it's colors. Yeah, here also you need to change $colors here also. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to save this, and once I'm run, then it will traverse through all the elements inside this array. These 3 places you need to change, and then you can use any array for this example. The next, actually, that is a variant of while loop, that is do while loop. So this is going to be the do while loop. Okay, this is the syntax. First you say do, and then you have to provide the statements that you need to execute, and then you check the condition. So as you can understand, this statement will execute a block of code at least once. Okay, it then will repeat the loop as long as the condition is true. You need to note that this loop will execute before checking the condition. So it will going to at least execute once before checking the condition. So you can understand it with this flow chart easily. It will start, and then it will go to the straight away go to the body of the loop, and then only it will going to check the condition, and for the second time it will check that condition, and then only it will execute the body of the loop. If that condition gets false, it will terminate the loop. I'm going to take a new file. Let's save it as do while starting point $x equal, I'm going to say it's a 5. In while loop, you first start with while, then the condition. Now here it's do, and then the code block that you need to execute. And then you provide your condition. You need to end with a semicolon at the end. Here, let's say I'm going to write it like this. First, I will increment $x equal $x plus 1, and then I'm going to print $x. So I have a BR tag, and here what I'm going to do is I'm going to print from 6 to 20, from number 6 to 20. So my condition would be $x less than 20. So let's save this and try to run. So it will print 6 to 20. 6 up to 20. So our condition is we are checking whether the number, this $x is less than 20. Right? So if I change this, I'm going to change this as 20. And see what happens. Now what happens? This loop execute once and then it will check whether x is 20 less than 20. It will, since I have provide in this statement to increment the value by 1, it will increment the value $x by 1, so it will become 21, and then it will print, and then only it will going to check whether $x is less than 20. Then only it will know this loop should terminate. This is what the difference between a while loop and do while loop. This is a good example for that. While it's not edge, so this one it will stop once it found some kind of an edge. But here what he will do is continue to run and find out, okay, there was an edge. I think this is also a good example to show the difference between while and do while loop.